Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today I'm very proud, and I say proud with a big P, to have the most amazing woman on my show, and her name is Tovah. And Tovah is a stage artist. She's a nomination. She's been nominated for the Best Actress and has won 4 Drama Desk Awards. Now, the thing that Tovah loves to do is to absolutely do her new show, which is actually not all that new. It's a show that's been on the air, and boy, is it successful. It's called The Walking Dead, and she plays Deanna Monroe, head of Alexandria, in this runway hit. So I want to welcome to my show an amazing woman, Tovah Feldshuh.
My honor to be here, my pleasure, and talking to you as we're about to fly to San Francisco, where I'm going to open Aging is Optional, because God, I hope it is. Feinstein's at the Nico, having earned that badge now that I've been killed twice on The Walking Dead. It was very nice to me. I got killed as a human and then killed as a walker, so it worked out very well.
Okay, let's jump right away to this whole notion of living a long life and doing what you can do, being alive. That's such a powerful thing. Now, Tovah, I want to know, why is Tovah so interested in being in this position that you're in now, which is that you're doing more than you've ever done before, even now? Now, what do you attribute that to?
I think the children are grown. We're not yet grandparents. My husband and I have worked all our lives, so we've accumulated the freedom of a certain amount of capital to do as we wish. I mean, we're not going to buy an airplane tomorrow, but if we wanted to go to rural China on Wednesday, we could do it at the drop of a hat. And as a matter of fact, that's what we're doing. And I would say that as I grow older chronologically, my greatest love, besides my family and then my profession, which is really being a professional storyteller inside the skin of other people, my favorite thing is adventure travel, to see the world while I still can. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with our son, Brender, and Brandon and I went ballooning. I'm pretty lucky he had a flexible work schedule. We went ballooning in Burma, which is now called Myanmar. And I just love seeing places as long as I can walk and jog and swim and bike. And I don't take any of it for granted. My mother lived till over 103, and she had a walker the last years of her life, but she was never, ever in a wheelchair. And I think it made a big difference for her health. And when she passed, she had a very clean pass. She had a cerebral hemorrhage, and she was gone.
Yeah.
So it was, if you're going to go, I would vote for ventricular fibrillation or that kind of cerebral hemorrhage, and not those diseases that debilitate you. So every day I cut a sweat. As my father said, if you pee and you poop and you sweat every day, where is the disease going to land? I remember that from my childhood. So that's what I do.
I have to ask you this, Tovah, as you talk about all the things that you do, you've got a fabulous sense of humor. Where'd you get that?
Oh, I think from my mother. My mother was hilarious. She was just hilarious. I took her to see Pippin, and I played Berta, and I sing a fantastic number upside down on a trapeze. Well, if you put a woman my age, an old bird on a trapeze singing upside down a hit song, you're going to bring down the house. So I went to her after the show, and I thought she'd be very, very pleased. And she said, Tovah, that you should still have to earn a living like this and on a trapeze yet. She's very, very funny and has very good, bourgeois values that she never betrayed. She's very much wanted me to marry a wonderful man, which I did. I didn't marry some far-out choice. I didn't marry a sculptor from New Mexico. I married a boy from the Northeast who went to Harvard, like my father went to Harvard and was a lawyer. He's a negotiator, my husband, and my father was a litigator. So Freud would have to do very little work on his marriage, but it worked very well, and I'm happy to say my husband is taking Pilates now because he kept seeing our wonderful Pilates teacher, Pam Beckerman, in our living room 2 to 3 times a week. And he finally said, maybe I should try it. And it's changed his whole life.
Yeah.
It's changed his life. Yeah.
Now, you say it changed his life. So what you're saying is that exercise and eating well, I suppose, is part of this, that you can stay young and with a great attitude as well. That's necessary. Don't you agree?
I do, but as you get older, if you track how you feel after you eat, you can bet your boots you're going to start to eat the more healthy foods, because you have like a food coma if you eat badly. A lot of sugar, a lot of salt, particularly a lot of sugar. I get really dull, really, really dull, and a lot of raw vegetables, some raw fruit, but a lot of raw vegetables. I get really, really sharp. So I enjoy having my brain at my disposal. Certain things do that. Speaking several languages does it. Being exposed to music and the organization of the complexities of music, like Mahler and Stravinsky and Bach, that also awakens brain centers. But the other thing that does it is raw foods, is raw vegetables. And I'm not like a diehard. I mean, I had filet mignon last night. It's not like I never eat meat or protein. I do. But it's a different alliance toward health now. Health is not even a matter of vanity or a matter of trying to do the right thing. It's a matter of living. Yeah. You don't want to die. You want to live until you die. You don't want to live until you die.
Yeah. Now, that's part of your Aging is Optional. So tell our audience where you're going to be doing this show, Aging is Optional.
In there? Oh, yeah, I can move it to come back here. So I'm going to stay. What did you say? Yes, that is part of Aging is Optional. That's how I do my entire life. After my mother died, I have a mother-in-law who's going to be 98. She's still got her marbles. Clarice Levy, she's fabulous. And my mother had her marbles, and they were both pianists. And I was a pianist as a child, and I'm going back to piano lessons because I am convinced that complex music and eye-hand coordination does something with the brain. And there's nobody in our family so far, God forbid, has had Alzheimer's. I mean, maybe this is just something you can't prevent if it happens. Maybe it's not genetic, but so far so good. And I think music and eye-hand coordination has a lot to do with it. Yeah, that's my theory.
And it's a good theory because I always say that when you listen to good music, it transforms you in ways you can't even describe. It makes you feel so good, doesn't it?
Yes, and also Plato, when he wrote The Republic, he didn't keep many things, but he sure the heck kept that. He kept music. He never touched it with his ideal republic. So that should be remembered. That's a big deal.
Now, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you talk on it.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that when I talk to certain actors who are, let's call them somewhat popular and somewhat known, that they don't have the humility that you have. Now, you're very successful. I mean, you have to say that. It's certainly you're extremely successful. Now, why is it that it's so easy to talk to you? And I feel like I'm talking to a friend on the phone. What is it about Tovah?
Susan, because I love people. I really love people. And my job is to take care of them as best I can. So I tell them stories by inhabiting other human beings. And the transformational actor's message is, if I can do this, think what you can do. If I, at my age, can pretend I'm Peter Pan, which is exactly what I do at the beginning of Aging is Optional. And I do a pretty good job of it, too. Maybe that's not humble enough. But I'm convinced I love being young so much that it's been very useful. If it's useful to me, think what you can do. It opens up all these possibilities for the audience. And it's my job. I love people. People say, do you prefer film or prefer television and all this stuff? And I guess in the very, very end, I love to be around that campfire called, humanity. So you get a lot of it when you're in the live theater. And when you're in film, what you do is you look the other person in the eye and keep him company, but intense company. So it ain't bad. It ain't bad at all. It's not a lonely life being an actor.
No.
Not at all.
That's a very wonderful thing, because when you're an actor, not only are you having friends who are actors too, your audience are your friends. It seems to me that some of the people who I've interviewed, when they talk about the audience, they say the audience is what they want to make them feel good, because when an audience claps and when they give you kind of a sense that they love you, how does it make you feel? I'm just curious about that.
Well, here's the deal. You're supposed to enlighten other people. So when you get a standing ovation, people are standing for their own aliveness. You know, it's not just you. It's that you've excited their sense of perception and new ways of looking at things and their own aliveness. So they stand for that. That's how I view it. So, you know, with this Berta thing and Pippin, man, that was a showstopper. And the idea of getting a standing ovation in the middle of a show was something I had never gotten for that role. But if you fulfill the role and what's required of it, oh God, they don't stand. And really, again, the message is, if you're singing like this, and one of the lyrics is that you're in your 60s, if you're doing this on a trapeze, maybe I can lose 5 pounds. Maybe I can stop an addiction to food. Maybe I can, you know, excite my sense of aliveness and my ability to change. So I was, that's how I see ovations and applause. It really isn't approbation. It's a thank you to the actor for bringing them to life, for bringing them to their feet about their own state of being in that moment.
Wow.
That's it.
It must be an incredible feeling to have an audience stand and clap and give you the accolades that you deserve. I mean, let's talk about that. You work hard, and I listen to you, and I know you work very, very hard to achieve what you're achieving. So is it something, again, about Tovah Feldshuh that turns her on? Is there something that kind of, when she looks in the mirror and she says, oh, my God, I'm Tovah Feldshuh, what do you feel? What do you feel? Let me hear it.
I don't say that. I say, oh, my God, it's another day. I better get these bones moving. You know, I wake up in the morning, I go into a hot shower first to make sure everything is rocking and rolling, and then I get on my bike, and then I go swimming.
Oh, wow! So you're a regular person, Tovah, huh?
Totally a regular gal. Married 39 years, 2 wonderful children who benefit from a marriage holding together, and very grateful for it. You know, grateful to still be in the game. I do what I love. Mm-hmm. I show up to work that I love and enlivens me. They did a study about longevity, and one of the longest living artists are the conductors. They love their work, they're near music, and they have a lot of cardiovascular activity. So that's why I ride my bike everywhere. You know, it's amazing that $300-400 a week, easily in New York. Mm-hmm. That money can be put to much better use to adventure travel. Yeah. This way I ride my bike on my way everywhere, and I mean, I can't do it to a premiere, but basically I wake up in the morning, put on my workout clothes, and until 12 noon I'm with the Pilates, and I swim a half mile, and I bike down to the gym, and I bike back to the gym, and it's great. It's great.
It sounds like a fabulous life. There is nothing about what you tell me that sounds like it's difficult or that you get upset about, because look at all these things you're doing. Now let's talk about some of the people you've played with that are similar to you, that when you play with them, you say, whoa, here's another person that I can identify with. Has there been any actor, any actress, anybody who you say, this is a great person with my personality?
The one who's the greatest and far greater than I think any of us is Andy Lincoln, the head of The Walking Dead. He's one of the kindest, most astonishing leaders I've ever had the honor of working with. He's a very, very fine actor, but he's a brilliant leader of the community, and it's absolutely one of the reasons that Walking Dead is number 1 in the world. Mm-hmm. The cable show, no question about it.
Now,
nobody wants to leave this show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, talk about that. Talk about The Walking Dead. It's a little bit of an unusual kind of show. I mean, The Walking Dead. So I want to know, what makes it successful?
What makes it successful is that we're all going to die. And that is the question that keeps raising. We're all going to die. How do you want to live out your days, particularly if you are under exigent pressure? Yes. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon, but how do you want to live out your days? And, in a way, aging is optional, which will be at Einstein Friday and Saturday, April 29th and 30th, deals with that too. I have so much time left. I'm in my early 60s now. How do I want to live out my days? What does it look like? So the show actually jumps from age group to age group, from 8-year-old to 85-year-old to 50-year-old. I play my children. I play Peter Pan. I play my mother, who is really full of hell, full of pep until she died. And just jumping from one age group to another, again, engenders hope in other people who don't happen to do this for a profession, that anything is possible, that addictions can be stopped, that you can lose weight, that, I have a good figure, but I've never had a figure I have now. Before Pippin, I did trapeze for 6 months straight. I was a muscle-bound boy, and I have tried to keep that. I've gained some 6 pounds since I've done the show, but that's normal. But I'm still cut, as they say. And it feels very, very good. It feels very good, light and bright.
Yeah. Now, the guest that I interviewed somebody called Susie Pruden, and Susie Pruden talked about how to learn to love your body. And what she basically said is that, of course, you have to eat well, you have to exercise, but there's more to it. It's kind of an attitude, a very positive attitude. Now, it sounds like you have a positive attitude toward life in general. Am I right?
I do, very much so. I'm in a very high standards, and I'm working on not getting so angry with myself if I don't hit my standards. That's my big thing this year, is to work on forgiveness. Particularly, I love to do things to the best of my ability, and I'm very dogged about it. I have a lot of energy, so I don't stop until it's excellent. So you're very kind to say I show up well and get the nominations. I get them because I work diligently enough for it to happen for me. And I'm very, very excited about continuing my work in my profession until I'm in my 80s. Gives me another 20 years at least. That's what I'm hoping for.
There you go. Now, do you intend to write a book, or?
I'd love to write a book. I actually found somebody I'd like to write it with, and I want to contact her, a journalist. I need some help. I'd like to talk a book. Have a great editor, help me do it. And I just want to thank you for putting me on V for Vitality. It's going to be a succinct moment because they're going to ask me to get off the phone any minute. So far, they've been very kind. They're just backing out. Do you have a last question you want to ask me?
Well, the last question is that I like my guests to give me the last word. So what is the last word from Tovah Feldshuh?
Reach for the stars. You may land on the roof. Reach for the roof. You'll never get off the ground. If you're going to do something, don't try to do it good. Try to do it great.
There you go. Well, my guest today has been Tovah Feldshuh, who's been a fabulous guest, and I would like to invite you back at another time when you're ready to do something else, because I know that in your plans never stop. You always have something to talk about.
In the meantime, anybody listening in San Francisco, I will be with them tomorrow night at Feinstein's at 8 p.m., Feinstein's at the Nico, and at 7 p.m. on Saturday. And all you have to do is go on my website, www.tovahfeldshuh.com, and the link for the tickets is right there. It's right there. So that would be great for me. Or call 866-663-1063. 866-663-1063.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Susan Brender Show, Tovah Feldshuh.
Thank you for listening to the Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.